Hey guys, I'm online if you're available. Okay, sorry guys. I should have started this after I said that, but anyway. Um, okay, so I'm just going to take 1 second now, and I'm going to send a link to everyone because I need to have this programmed in, so it happens automatically. Let's see now. Let's see now. There we go. All right. Okay, so wanted to start by going over different ways we can all make money because I know that everyone's got different interests, and I'm not suggesting this as a do it all list. So, um, the first one is finding us residential deals. Residential meaning units one, two, three, and four. Or call them places where people live. Go 5+. Go anything where people sleep is what I call residential. The industry calls residential single family 1, 2, 3, 4, and residential multifamily 5+. If you have a niche you'd like to focus in there, that's fine. Again, we're looking to go direct to seller. We're not looking for very rarely. This is your licensed agents are a little bit different. You can go after things that are on Facebook, things that are on whatever else. But for you wholesalers, you can go after them, but there's not going to be a lot of room once the world's already seen the property. And if it's listed by an agent, you can't touch it. Most states, okay, fine. So we need those deals like crazy, and we are launching, and you'll have a link to it this week. Our new CRM. You will have logins, and if you don't get a login by Friday, if you haven't already gotten a login request, let me know because we've already sent out login requests to we think everybody, but if it doesn't go, let me know. Fine. Second thing is commercial in various forms. And when I say in various forms, I mean it kind of depends on where it is. So, okay, so residential single family anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania, we will do anywhere. Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, Maryland, Delaware, Jersey, surrounding us. We have a few boots on the ground, a lot of boots on the ground throughout Pennsylvania, a few boots on the ground in Arizona, a few boots on the ground elsewhere. We want to we want to focus in an area. Long Island, New York is fine. So Southern New York is fine. New England's fine. We want to focus on areas rather than being we'll take a listing anywhere. Because what Ryan and I have learned over the years is if we don't know an area, we're no good. I mean, we can market and find buyers, but we can't really provide much value. So whether you pick an area and you say I'm going to become a specialist in Podunk, Ohio, all right, great, fine. Or you work within the states I mentioned: Ohio, Pennsylvania, a little bit of New York, a little bit of Delaware, New England, Jersey, Southern Jersey is great. Whatever. We switch to commercial. Commercial comes in two flavors. Comes in smaller commercial, like a laundromat, a car wash, that need a little bit more direct attention. I would say keep those. We don't have a buyer's list for those. I may be interested. I wouldn't focus too much on them because that's not a niche. If that's a niche you want to explore, we can guide you there. But that smaller niche would have to be Luzerne, Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, because I may be the only buyer. Self storage, mobile home park, RV parks like that, anywhere in the country. Self storage is probably self storage and mobile home parks are number one and number two. RV parks, I had a little bit less knowledge in, so our buyers list is smaller. Self storage, our buyers list is phenomenally huge. And in all of these, it's direct to seller activity. We don't need, hey, this guy's got this listed. We don't need, hey, this guy's got that listed. Oh, okay. Sarah and Shad, there you are. All right, cool. Great. So you're listening in. All right. The other thing that I want to do, and I'm chatting with Sarah and Shad here, is I want to get, and I don't know how to do this, that's why I'm stopping. But basically, I want to get your calendar and my calendar in sync so that I have some idea. Now, this is, but let me be very clear, you guys are independent contractors, yada, yada, yada. You're not required to do this. I cannot require anything. I'm just wanting a bit of an idea if it's within something you're comfortable with. Saying, hey, I normally work, second shift, so I'm not available here to here. I normally sleep here. This is the best time to reach me. Um, this is the best time for us to communicate. Um, so I just figured out why he didn't get that. Okay, my fault. Now I understand. Um, sorry, I was setting up the CRM and I realized I had sent everyone. By the way, now I understand you guys probably didn't get any of the invitations because I sent them to your branded email address, which I don't think I forwarded over to your actual email address yet. So I'll fix that. Sorry, I'm sort of thinking out loud here. Anyway, I just want to come up with a chart or something, and this may be stupid, that lets me know, okay, well, Sarah and Chad are available, kind of sort of this, and other times that. Really, really trying to focus on weekends and holidays and whatever. I want to, because we have the systems now, we have the technology now, and I want to make sure we're full speed ahead. So, any ideas you have on how to coordinate that? If you all have a Google Calendar, maybe you don't, whatever. The other thing is, okay, so back to where I was actually starting, is finding us real estate deals is probably primary. Okay. In and around that, we have the ability to make money on a few other things. And I'm going to start with the things that are not mine and circle back to the things that are mine. And by mine, in a lot of cases, Ryan's involved in these two. I'm not trying to be overly possessive, but whatever. I am a trained white label member of Joseph Scarice. I'm on Joe's podcast every Sunday. I am, and Joe is a major hard money lender. And we have 5 or 6 that we're members of because Joe is very focused. He's an excellent guy. He does DSCR, fixed to flip, fixed to rent for the residential and smaller mixed use properties. I think he does some larger stuff, but I'm not familiar with it. And DSCR lending is investor. These are all investor lendings. We don't want owner occupants. We don't want that stuff. We want investor lending. DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. And what that means is, and I might as well, since I'm not really using the screen, I'll put myself up big, although I'm scary. Is it over there? Oh, it is. Okay, cool. So I actually want to do this. Put myself over here. I'm still playing with this camera thing anyway. But DSCR lending is debt service coverage ratio. So your net operating income must be 1.25 times your debt. So if you make $1,250 a month, you can afford $1,000 a month debt. Real simple. We make about 1.1% of the loan amount. So if the loan amount's $100,000, we make $1,000. Just keep these numbers simple. I split that with you, straight up, 50-50. You're finding and running the client under my supervision. You're finding and running and doing all the sort of stuff with the client. Oops. I just saw your comment there, Shadow. I was trying to say thank you, but yeah, that's great. And I'm handling the middle back end. I'll call it the sort of front back end. And then I'm passing the stuff off to Joe. And Joe's staff is handling it from there. So it's really not a large amount of work. I have not done or focused on this area at all. Like I think I've done 2, besides my own. But the 2 that I did were like 5 hours of work. They really weren't that much. Because most of it is, hey, client, fill out this questionnaire. Okay, great. You fill out this questionnaire. Now let me get this back to you over here. Okay, great. Now, let me get this over to Joe, and Joe has more questions. So they forward me the questions. We forward the questions out. Basically, you're the transaction coordinator at that point. So it's a really easy thing. It's for DSCR is for rented operational properties, 30-year fixed rate. Then he has fix and flip loans, which is the 90% down. 90% of purchase, 100% of rehab, 80% of purchase, 100% of rehab, whatever. It's those things, the flipper loans. I'm actually in the process of exiting a flipper loan with him and converting it to a regular loan. So that's that one. Those are two ways we have lending, and we make money on that. We also make money on unsecured business credit cards, which is a fancier name for it, but that's what it is. It's basically unsecured 0% interest loan, and a few other forms of lending. I also, on a very small scale, I do my own private lending. Transactional funding is what I like the best, where a wholesaler needs $100,000 in title for 24 hours while a deal double closes. Again, I pay you finder's fee. I pay you a fee on any of this stuff. I do a little bit of longer term loans, a little bit. Let's see. That would be fixed and flip loans. That would be possible longer term rental loans, things like that. I do some earnest money depositing. A wholesaler needs to put up a couple grand for earnest money. They don't have it. I do that. By the way, I'll be in my full studio next week. I just kept my computer replaced in there. So these are other ways you can make money. You can make money by referring us and helping us close and run lending deals. Really, the Joe ones is where you should focus, honestly. But if you find me a transactional source, and the beautiful thing in both of these, in my transactional source, if you plug me into a title company and they call me every time they need transactional, you get paid every time that title company uses it. So you plug me in once and you kind of be their liaison, you're getting paid infinitely on that. All right, so those are the different ways to make money. Now I want to circle back to the way that isn't as, so we've covered fairly well the questionnaires and what you need to do for residential multifamily sellers, which is basically, how you market them. We can do bandit signs. We can do cold calling, which is we have batch leads. I pay every month for batch leads. There's 8 seats in batch leads. I can share the seats out. That's fine. Go and find distressed sellers. And we can get into that much more deeply if you're interested. We can give you a batch lead login. You can download lists. Oh yeah, by the way, the other way you can make money is selling lists. We can talk about that. You can download lists. We can get people on Facebook ordering lists from us, charge them 25 cents a name, 15 cents a name. We get them from batch leads for a nickel. You make 5 cents per name. I make 5 cents per name. Everybody's happy. All of those kinds of things. And by the way, if you have other ways to make us, residual income, great. An insurance company or whatever, great. But you want to talk to sellers. So you want to go into batch leads and you want to search for pre-foreclosures. Those are getting huge. Sadly enough, people are losing their shit. Mostly because they were stupid and paid too much in the last couple of years. But for whatever reason, they're losing their shit. Jobs are going away. Just this, unfortunately, it's not a good time in the economy. I don't predict the future to be very strong in the economy for the next couple of years. The other ways to find residential owners: door knocking, dialing for dollars, driving for dollars, drive down the street. Oh, that house looks like it has overgrown grass. Let's go and skip trace the owner and find it. And whatever, you want software like Acres on your phone, you want software like Regrid, and then we can show you how to skip trace leads. Nair is great at that. We can also have him come on and talk about that. Connor and I are exploring Act 135, which is a blighted property act, and how we can use that to leverage, help counties and cities recover blighted properties. Don't worry about that one, but that one will be coming in a future training. But Connor, if you want to take a look at this, we'll talk about a good time to do it. Good time for us to get on the same page. Bandit signs, flyers, great idea. Bandit signs are those 2x4, 2x3, whatever. We buy houses, and they're cheap. Okay, and they're called bandit signs because they're not legal. You're putting them somewhere that you don't own and you don't have permission to. You're putting them on telephone poles. You're putting them on whatever, yards, sidewalks, whatever you're doing. And very often you'll find cities don't like them and they're going to call you on them. This is why you want your own phone number. You want your business line, a Google Voice line, something, because you don't want them blacklisting you. Now, always be respectful. If they call you and say get it out, go get it. Go pull it. Real simple sign. You can get a blank one. We buy houses. Stop foreclosure, whatever. Boom. Stop foreclosure phone number. You can put our website on it. WeBuyMidAtlanticHomes.com. HuntingForHomes.com. Lots of different names, different domains we have. You can put up and it'll go from there. But really, remember, people are driving by these. They're not stopping and reading them. So it's stop foreclosure, phone number. Tired landlord, ? Phone number. Sell your house fast, phone number. That. Flyers like that. Calling owners. On Facebook. This is why you have your Facebook business page. Boom, boom, boom. Getting in front of them. Now, the other category of where to go, of the other category I wanted to cover today is self-storage. And really self-storage and mobile home parks and RV parks kind of follow the same. Who are we looking for? Okay, we're typically not buyers, and this is more the self-storage story, but it kind of relates to the other two. We're typically not buyers in the major cities. It kind of relates to the other two because you don't find a lot of mobile home parks or RV parks in major cities. You find them in suburbs. So that kind of there. The reason we're not, we'll take them in a major city. If we can get a self-storage facility in a major city or a city of any kind that has good numbers, we'll take it. It's not that we don't want them. It's that very often they don't come with good numbers because they're in a city. That's kind of roughly what it looks like. And so what you're doing is you're looking at the smaller secondaries and tertiaries. You're not necessarily looking at Philadelphia. You're looking at Allentown maybe, or at suburbs. You're not looking at, you're certainly not looking at Manhattan, but I'd love one in Manhattan, but you're probably not going to get it for a reasonable price. Well, Mark, my partner Mark on this, and I were looking at New England, specifically, between Rhode Island and New Hampshire. A couple of facilities came across our desk, and I was like, hey, okay, fine. And of course, what's in the middle? Boston. Well, you're not. And again, we'll take one. If there is one selling out cheap in Boston, I'll buy it. But no, it's not going to happen. So we started looking west of Boston, and there's Concord and towns like that between 95 and 495. Don't worry about the location, but where there's basically no self-storage, there's no service, there's a lot of people, a lot of rich people, but there's no there's not facilities. It's like, oh, this would be a great place to put a facility. Well, the reason there aren't facilities is because everything is freaking expensive out there. It's too expensive to buy land and make it work. There was a facility for sale, actually in Extra Space, which goes against what I'm about to tell you. And they're looking to sell it. Well, they're selling it at $8.5 million. And it makes a 5 cap. It makes 5% return. Lower than our criteria. Perfect for an Extra Space, not perfect for us. So in the cities, you're not going to find things that are competitively priced. Whereas Western Massachusetts, maybe, but still maybe it's still New England. We're looking at one down in Pembroke, Georgia. This is national. You can look anywhere. I don't care where these are. A little dilapidated, running okay, but running only about 60% income, yada yada. But that's the kind of market you're looking at. Something that it may not be Allentown, or it won't be Philly, probably. It might be Allentown. It might not be Allentown. It might be one of the subs of Allentown. And for those of you who know Pennsylvania, it might be Altoona. It might be State College. It may not be State College. It might be, I think it's Mill Hall around State College. We don't even care. Like, I couldn't tell you where Pembroke, Georgia is on the map, but I wanted to buy this property. Somebody else beat us to it. But the point is, pretty much, yeah. Manhattan and New England, hell yeah. But Rehoboth Beach, exactly. And the what is a valuable property is not something I'm going to cover today. The conversation is who we want to sell to, who we want to buy from. Extra Space, U-Haul, Public Storage, those companies, probably not worth calling that. Because if they're they may just be a managed buy, but they're a serious play. It's hard to tell, so it's just not worth the effort. And Extra Space, U-Haul, like, I'm shocked Extra Space is selling a property. I just don't. That's not usually their model. We're looking for like Mark and I are looking at this 6-pack down in Georgia, Miss Lillian Self Storage, fairly professionally run. But like, the sign has flowers over the eyes. Like, it's Miss Lillian. Whoever the hell Miss Lillian is, that's who put it together. Lakeside Self Storage, whatever, Joey's Self Storage. That's who you're looking at. Now, a couple markets that are good is Enola, Pennsylvania. Outside of Harrisburg, there is nothing. There is not a self-storage facility in Enola. We want a warehouse in Enola. Find me a warehouse. Enola is a great market. Suburb of Harrisburg, boom, all over that. I don't really want land. I want to convert. This land takes too long. Oneonta, New York. There's one for sale in Oneonta at a stupid price. Everything else in Oneonta looks like it's poorly run. They're not on Google. They're probably making a crap load of money. But so start calling self-storage owners around Oneonta, New York. Around wherever you want to. But that's who you're looking for. You're looking for the owner of a single shop, 2 shops, 5 shops, 10 shops. By shops, I mean facilities. And all you're looking to do is to start a conversation and then help me start a conversation. I'll give you a questionnaire, no question. I'll give you a script, no problem. But that's it. That's the song. And the song is the same for mobile home parks and RV parks. Self-storage, we are very deep in. We're not deep in ownership yet. We're trying to get there. But we're very deep in understanding, and our network is phenomenal. We are members of this club, I guess, mentorship, which is the largest self-storage mentorship mastermind in the country. So if we don't want a deal, I got a few thousand people I could send it out to anywhere in the country. Don't care. It just has to be a reasonable deal. So that is the song. Mobile home parks is also another sector. Self-storage and mobile home parks are in, I don't want to be mean, but they're 2 sides of the same coin. And by that, I mean they're taxed on people who are bad at math. And I've been a self-storage tenant before, and I'm not picking on anyone. But I rented a self-storage one time, 10 by 20, I think it was, because I had crap from a flip I had to store somewhere. And I said, I'm going to, in the next 90 days, get rid of all this crap. Well, 5 years later, having never gone back to a self-storage facility, couldn't even tell you which door I had at the time. I still had that crap. And they collected 5 years of rent on me, and nothing in that space was worth 5 years. It was all of what was in that space I sold for less than 1 year's worth of rent. So my rent didn't make me any money. And kind of the same way, mobile home parks in Pennsylvania communities. There are some beautiful mobile home parks that are destination locations that are phenomenal. But the average mobile home park tenant or even owner is doing something they're very cool with, and I think it's a wonderful way to live for them, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense. Because the thing they own, if they do own the unit, I mean, if they're a tenant, they're a tenant. They're a tenant in a mobile home, they're a tenant in an apartment, they're a tenant in a house, they're a tenant. That's their game. If they own the mobile home, they own something which is not gaining in value. It's going down in value. And they don't own the thing which does go up in value, which is the dirt. So effectively, they're a tenant because they don't own the land. They may own the unit, and if it's a nice unit, they can move it. But mobile home parks and self-storages fill a very important need in our country and slowly in other parts of the world. Mobile homes were the original tiny homes, let's face it. This whole tiny home craze ain't new. It's just called something different now. But mobile home parks are the same business model as self-storage, except for the parks that own the units they own. That's more of a landlord-tenant law situation. But in the mobile home park ownership, you are renting the dirt with no care, custody, or control of what's on the dirt. Meaning the unit that the tenant owns, the mobile home park owns the dirt, and the tenant that rents the dirt owns the mobile home. Their mobile home functions or doesn't, we don't give a crap. In self-storage, it's the same kind of thing. And we'll stay with non-climate control. As long as my roof doesn't fail, and even if it does, I'm actually fairly protected, I'm renting you dirt, and I don't give a crap. It's my job to keep it maintained, I'm not saying that. But we're very not care, custody, control. Mobile home parks have to make sure the services work to the door of the mobile home, and then after that, it's on their own. So we want the same thing in mobile homes as we do in mobile home parks, not mobile homes. Mobile homes are done on the residential model over there. If you find a mobile home, we can talk about it, whatever. We don't want older mobile homes. If they're older than 1985, we don't want to talk to them. We really probably don't want to talk to them. I don't mean the parks, I mean the homes. If you're selling me one mobile home, if it's old, probably isn't worth the conversation. If the park has old ones, that's a whole different thing. But we want mobile home parks. We want self-storage anywhere in the country. RV parks are also of interest, but my hesitancy, and I'm not saying it's a hesitancy that if you find an RV park, anybody that wants to talk about selling dirt, we want to talk to. They want to talk about selling a retail space, an office space, anything else, we want to talk to them. So don't be like, oh, well, Steve doesn't want that sector. No, anything is fine. But the reason I'm a little warmer on mobile home parks than I am on RV parks is because RV parks very often depend on a vacation destination, which means two things. It has to be a destination of some kind. And two is the economy has to be strong enough for it. Now, RV parks are wonderful because they're a vacation destination that is not expensive. You don't spend a lot when you're renting an RV park spot. You bought the unit, you bought the RV, whatever. So RV parks, mobile home parks, and self-storage are our primary commercial focuses. We'll look at anything. Gas stations, convenience stores, by the way, they're like car washes and laundromats. They're smaller, pretty much figure eastern Pennsylvania into New Jersey. State College, come east. So convenience stores, mini marts, gas stations, preferably with the dirt. I will occasionally look at mobile home at any of those smaller car wash, laundromat, whatever sectors that are rented property, but preferably with the dirt. So those are some things to be looking for. Now, when you're talking to the mobile home park or the commercial, self-storage park, whatever owner, the questions get very complicated very fast, and I will give you a list of questions. But really, you're building rapport. You're finding out about their business. How many units have you got? How long have you owned it? Everything in our business is building rapport, building rapport. That's the song every day of the week is build rapport, build rapport. And find out what they can tell you about their property. How many acres, how many units. You don't have to go deep at this point on anything. We will take you deeper later. But I will, you will learn the questions. But really, what you're looking to do is you're looking to talk to that owner. You may not get to the owner, you make it to the manager. And a few ways, and this is where I will turn on the computer, is I'm just going to Google self-storage Exeter, PA. And I'm looking for, you know what I should do? I should do Google Maps first, because I want to show you via Google Maps. By the way, this is called virtual driving for dollars, okay? And so you're now looking at a list. Now, okay, so you have a few things here. Unfortunately, in my area, everybody that has a Google presence has a website. If you look at self-storage in Oneonta, New York, this guy doesn't have a website. He would be my first victim in my calls. Second victim in my calls. He's got a lower Google rating than him. Maybe he's not my first victim. Because you're going after the ones that are less well managed. And also, you're going after, and the reason I'm zooming in here, of course I zoomed into a bad example. I'm going to go back to Exeter, PA for my next example. Because virtual driving for dollars is you're flying over. Like this one here, this residential here drew my attention. Now that I zoomed in, that's probably not overgrown. But I was like, oh, is that overgrown? So virtual driving for dollars can be like, oh, we're flying. Oh, look, crappy house. Now let's go find out who owns the crappy house. But when you're Googling on Oneonta, call all of them. The ones that don't have websites are worse or not as well run as the ones that do have websites. So they might be higher up your call list. All of these so far, I don't see a brand. I mean, I see the storage center, but that doesn't sound like a national happy brand. West End, LS, American Source Systems. There isn't a U-Haul or an Extra Space anywhere here. So all of these are good victims for calling. And we know Oneonta is a very undersupplied market. I would love to be in Oneonta. So when I fly over and I'm trying to find out where I'm at, close to you, Four Seasons Golf Club, self-storage station. Slow Cloud. West Wyoming. I'm just trying to find a specific. Okay, Moonlight Driving. Somewhere around here. Now, all of the ones on my map are have websites and are, therefore, we don't know if they're well run, but we're just going to say that they're maybe more reasonably run than something else. And if I come over to self-storage station, okay, of course I'm picking a bad example. I'm trying to think who was a drive up. Who was a good drive up? I think. All right. Well, actually, this just kind of made my case. Who's this? This from the air looks like a self-storage facility. Lots of drive-up ability. Narrow by long building, so you probably figure these are 10 by 10s by 10 by 10s. Who's that? He's not even on Google. So now you got to do a little more sleuthing and maybe go to Google Street View. And this can kind of be, if you enjoy this kind of shit, this can kind of be fun. Self-storage, Exeter, PA. Except I'm actually not searching self-storage, of course, because he doesn't have a presence. So I'm looking for Shamrock Auto Repair. Yes. Now I'm going to Street View, and I'm going to find that facility down the street. Lo and behold, it is a self-storage facility. Ta-da! Maybe that's a sign? It is a sign, but it's not exactly the most visible facility in the universe. Okay, now, as soon as I saw this self-storage station, I know the area. I know self-storage station is a chain of facilities around here. It's one of the owners we love to talk to. Feel free to call them. But he just doesn't have this facility on his thing. He does. He is on. He is. It's a well-run regional operation. So I thought this was going to be, Billy Bob's self-storage that, is crappily run and maybe rusted out or whatever. So, all right. So anyway, that's it's an example. I guess would be the way to put it. It's an example of, hey, we just did a flying driving for dollars, a virtual driving for dollars, found a facility that doesn't have a Google map, a Google location. So not only doesn't it doesn't have a website, it doesn't even have a Google presence. Now, they do have other Google presences. Yeah, they have other ones of those. So, as an operation, they have them. They just didn't include them in this. Now, the reason I'm moving over to Swarsville now is West 8th Street. Here we go. To Shoemaker Ave. No, I don't know exactly where this place is. I literally have to drive it. This was going to be my actual virtual driving for dollars example. But somewhere in this woods here. In fact, that might even be it. There's another, and I'm just going to drive this one. There's another self-storage. So really what I showed before, the virtual driving for dollars. One of the beautiful things about self-storages and mobile home parks are they're very easy to spot from the air. And again, Valley View doesn't have a website. Do they need one? Who the hell knows? And this is less of a transient business, but okay. Guess what, folks? That's what a mobile home park looks like from the air. Now, if you were to be flying over a community and see this, but didn't see the little Google tag, it's a really crappily run facility. Now, it's interesting with mobile home parks, you can also tell something else. Look how many empties in Valley View. So Valley View could be an interesting call. Somebody want to reach out to them for me? See if they want to sell? Because the one thing about mobile home parks and self-storage is they kind of think the same logic happens. That just like in the self-storage, where I had a self-storage facility for 60 years, that we just kept paying on and paying on and paying on. Stupid. No value. No value there. These people are living here. They're not going anywhere. And the psychographics of someone who lives in a mobile home park is that's where they want to live. I mean, this is the lifestyle they're happy with. So whatever their current rent is, probably the current rent that I'm gonna be able to keep them at for possibly a very long time. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to recap today. And I will get you guys the links to the logins, and I'll get you guys the spreadsheets that you need. Although we're moving away from spreadsheets into the CRM. Any questions, reach out to me, 570-798-7051. Thanks, guys. Bye.